Unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans. That's a quote from Peter F. Drucker. He's a business management expert and an author who revolutionized business in a very good way. If you find you end each day with way too many items still on your to-do list, this episode is for you. If you actually do make a task list or a to-do list each day, and a lot of people don't, but I explain why in this episode, most of the time, it's more of a wish list than a to-do list. It's kind of like a hope to-do list. You're going to completely crush that mess after hearing this episode. You're going to go from feeling overwhelmed in the morning and defeated every evening to being completely in control at the start of each day and victorious at the end. All of that from what you're going to hear in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So let's not delay. Let's jump right into today's episode. Welcome to Mental Mastery Moment. I'm your coach, Paul Desmond Adams. Think of this show as your quick daily coaching session. Each 10 to 15 minute episode is designed to help you live the life you were created to live. I'll help you realign your mindset, maximize your productivity, deepen your relationships, and tap into your infinite creative source. On Tuesdays, we talk about productivity because Tuesdays tend to be the busiest day of the week for most people. So I want to help you get through that task list as quickly and painlessly as possible. So let's get started right now with today's episode of Mental Mastery Moment. You'll notice that each one of these episodes has been running right about 15 minutes, and I'm always shooting for 10 to 15 minutes. So today, we're going to do a tiny little improvement, and we're going to try to bump it down to 13 minutes and see if we can get all of this information I've got for you in that short little bit of time. I think we can, but we got to jump into it, and I got to not babble here at the beginning. You know, most of us start our day staring defeat right in the eyes. We stack the deck against ourselves. We do that by putting way too many things on our to-do list, even if that to-do list is just in our head, which is the worst place for it to be. But even then, we've got all these things we know. We've got to get this done, this done, this done, all these things. But we're not realistic about our task list, and we need to be. Just because we put everything on our list doesn't mean that everything that's on there is going to get done. I find more than 3 to 5 items, typical items, not big giant tasks, and that's going to be too many. If I go over 5, definitely. Some days, I've just got 2 items, and it's still too many. There's a psychological aspect of this issue that causes us to feel defeated. Ask yourself how many times you would enter a boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson. You might get pummeled once and think, okay, I'm coming back. I'm going to train harder. I'm going to plan a little bit better. I'm going to work a little bit longer. And then you get knocked out again, and then again, and again. And you do that 4, 5, 6 times. And eventually you say, listen, I'm not even going in that ring anymore. And that's what happens to many of us. We eventually ditch our task list because we just know that when we start our day going up against Mike Tyson, we're just going to get pummeled by the end of the day and we're going to feel defeated. You need to step in the ring with someone in your weight class, not Mike Tyson, not Floyd Mayweather. Start small and work your way up. Similar to yesterday's episode, successful efforts increase our motivation. Each time you complete that task list, you feel more motivated hitting that task list again tomorrow. But when you get beat up by Mike Tyson, you never want to box again. You don't even want to stand upright probably after that. Know your weight class. That's another important thing. You don't have the same amount of time every single day. Monday, you may be wide open and you can get 8 items checked off your list. Tuesday, that could be packed with all kinds of meetings and stuff, and you can barely get 1 thing done on that task list. To stick with that boxing metaphor, Monday you can take on the next higher weight class because you're really strong and you got the capacity and you can do it. Then Tuesday, you're going to get knocked out by your little brother. And very important now, know who you're taking on. So you know your weight class, you know what you can take on. We're going to go into specifics here in just a moment, but also know who you're taking on. Not every task takes the same amount of time, the same amount of energy and effort. Give your tasks a projected time to complete. It's real easy. You don't have to be precise. I usually round everything up to 30 minutes. So if I think it's going to be an hour and 15 minutes, I put an hour and 30 minutes. But learn from your estimations, especially if it's a recurring task or a similar task. I do that with my podcast episodes. I know how long my show outline can be in order for me to stay within 15 minutes. I'm also refining that as I relaunch this show. I found that I was underestimating things initially, and I was going to 18, 19 minutes. I had to edit it back down. That takes extra work to do that. Today, I think I might have it right. We'll see here in just a few minutes. I'm going to shoot for 13 minutes. We'll see if we get it right. So here's the big deal in this episode. And this is critical for you to go from a hope list to a to-do list or a done list. Get your tasks into your calendar. This is how you go from wishing to planning. Until you put it in your calendar, it's not a plan. It's just a wish and a hope and a dream. When you do that, you know your capacity and you also know when you've exceeded it. So when you take tasks and you put them in there like Tetris blocks, you start going, oh, okay, I've filled up my whole morning. I've only got 2 items on there because they each take 2 hours each. You also lock out others from taking up your day with meetings. A lot of organizations use meeting planners built into G Suite, Google Suite, or Outlook, or any of the other tools. And if you leave open slots, you're saying, hey, go ahead and book something here. I'm wide open from 2 to 3 today. And here's another little tip. Plan for planning time. Block out time at the end of each day for you to plan ahead. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of your day and you're going to be in a rush to get out and go pick up the kids at daycare or head home and stop at the grocery store and get something for dinner or whatever it is you're doing. You're going to end up pressed for time at the end of the day and you're not going to plan tomorrow. And then tomorrow, you're going to start off a little bit flustered and a little bit disorganized. If your schedule gets filled up quickly, you'll need to plan tasks even further out than tomorrow. In fact, I'd almost say default to that. Try to plan your tasks and your calendar out a week out. And make sure that you do leave time in there for your recurring meetings and leave some time in there for unscheduled meetings because there are going to be things that come up that you're going to need to address. So don't just fill it up because you're in control of those tasks, but just try to plan it out and give yourself some time. Also, a little tip here, plan for some downtime in between each meeting or in between each task. Step outside, get some fresh air, and get some sunshine. And if you're thinking, man, I don't know what my tasks are going to be at the end of next week, put some time blocks in there. And I got an old episode that I did about time blocking, or I think I called it budget your time like you do with your money. Put some time blocks in there. So you could just label something 1 hour for task 1, 2 hours for task 2. And then as you get closer, you're going to have a better idea of what exactly you're going to need to put into your calendar. And then you can pull those blocks out and then put the specific task in there for the specific amount of time that you need for it. And another good idea is to create a task calendar so you're not mixing your tasks in with your meetings. That way you can kind of turn those off if you just want to see what your meetings are like, or turn the meetings off and just see what your tasks are like for the week. Make sure you've got a specific calendar for your tasks. You've probably got one for holidays and for meetings for travel, for vacation, but make sure one of them is a task calendar. But merge those all together. Otherwise, you're just looking at the task one. You're not looking at the holidays or the meeting one. You're going to overlook something. So merge all those together so they overlap and you can see where you're going to have crunches in your time. There are tools that actually help a lot with this. In fact, Friday in that episode, I'm going to share a tool that I use. It's my favorite tool. I used to use like 2 or 3 tools to get this done. But I found this one tool that I really, really love. You may have heard of it, but we'll wait till Friday. Make sure you subscribe, though, so you don't miss that episode coming up on Friday. Most basic tools like Outlook or Google Calendar won't do all this properly. They simply put your tasks into your calendar. So you'll have all your scheduled calendar items. This for 15 minutes. This is half an hour. This is an hour. And at the top or at the bottom, somewhere in there, you just got task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4. And you don't really count for how much time each one's going to take. And that really doesn't help at all. If you have to, just do it manually. You can create a meeting template to speed things up. You could do that if you need to, but you can also flag or categorize based on time. You can put a category for 1 hour tasks or 2 hour tasks, half hour tasks. I recommend adding up again to the next half hour so you have some buffer in there. Overestimate. I could say that about 10 more times. It still wouldn't be enough. Overestimate. If you end up with extra time, you can always do more. You can look ahead at your task list, or you could get more organized, or you could read, or you could do something else. But make sure that you never overbook yourself. You want to avoid facing defeat every single day. So make sure you're winning each day, at least 90-95% of the time. There are going to be days where something's just going to come up and you're going to end up at the end of your day not having completed everything, even though it was in your calendar. But 90% of the time, if you can feel that, man, I did it, I won, you're going to find that you're more eager to hit the list again tomorrow. You're going to feel more motivated to do the things you have to do. And you're not going to be starting each day feeling like this is never going to happen. Why even try? I'm facing Mike Tyson. A win is a completed task list at the end of each day, and that should be your goal. So take time today to put those critical tasks into your calendar. Look at your task list for tomorrow. Just pick 3 to 5 items in there, estimate the time for them, and then create a slot with that amount of time in your calendar. Leave some room for meetings, leave room for recurring meetings, and make sure you squeeze it around other meetings. But all of a sudden, you're going to go, oh, no wonder I'm not getting things done. I got way too many meetings. You might want to pare some of those back and ask somebody, hey, instead of doing a 2-hour meeting on that, can we do a 1-hour meeting? Think we can get that done? You're going to find a lot of people are going to say, yeah, actually, I've got a lot to do too. So let's back that thing down to 1 hour. And again, if you don't know what all your tasks are going to be over the next week or two, just time block. Create a generic block in there for each one of the tasks, just 3 to 5 items each day. It'll help you so much. You'll be breathing easier at the beginning of the day, and you'll feel like a winner at the end of the day. I hope this helps you. Make sure you do this. Otherwise, just listening to it, it's kind of like joining the gym but not going to the gym. Make sure you do these things, all right? Thank you so much. If this show benefits you, again, I really appreciate a rating and a review inside of whatever app you're listening to right now. Just go in there, 5-star rating, and then give a little review explaining why. And if this could help somebody, maybe you have an employee or a coworker, a business partner, somebody you care about, and just say, man, this might be a good thing for us to try this next week. Send this episode to them. I appreciate you very, very much. You are the reason I'm here doing this every single day. Thanks again. And I do have to say, my ending on every episode is kind of counter to what I just said. Make sure that you leave yourself a buffer. But I still stand by this in life when it comes to living your very best life. May your reach always extend beyond your grasp, but not your task list. Don't let that extend beyond your calendar time.